When you think of stealth aircraft, you think of the F-22, the Su-57, the J-20. You don't think of the F-15. Before we dive into this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Only about 9% of my current viewers are subscribed. It helps the channel out and means the world to me. So, the F-15 SE, or the Stealth Eagle. I would find it very hard to believe that you guys don't know what this aircraft is, but if you don't, this is essentially what happens when you give the United States a need, which was another stealth aircraft, and then you give them a very low budget, which just isn't words known to the US government, and then you just give them a bunch of crack cocaine. So the United States decided that, because we wanted our allies to be able to have capable air-to-air fighters, but we weren't going to give them Raptors, and not everyone has the spending budget of infinity like the US. They weren't all going to be able to acquire F-35s, or acquire limited numbers of them. So the United States sought out to make an aircraft that was originally, the whole idea of it was to be a 4th gen that had a lot of stealth characteristics, was sent, it was originally supposed to be bought by Saudi Arabia, Japan. They were the nations that showed the most interest in a program like this. Well, obviously they didn't decide to get the aircraft, and now we're stuck with a program that is just straight out of myth. Well, not myth, it literally happened. So the F-15 Silent Eagle, that's why it's called the F-15 SE, was a stealth-modified version of the F-15E Strike Eagle created by Boeing and revealed in 2009. It was designed for export customers that wanted some stealth capability, but couldn't buy the F-22 or F-35. Obviously, we don't sell the Raptor, and the F-35, like I said, it's crazy expensive. So, only one was ever built and tested. Its first flight happened in 2010. It never entered production or military service. The conformal weapon bays were replaced, or they replaced the fuel tanks on the sides of the aircraft. So the missiles could be carried internally. Vertical tails were angled 15 degrees outward to reduce radar reflection. Radar absorbent materials and stealth coatings were added. And it planned to use the APG-82 ASA and Advanced Electronic Warfare Systems. So basically what it was let's beef up the F-15E with the conformal fuel tanks, remove the fuel tanks and make those conformal missile bays. Give it a crap ton of radar-absorbing paint, radar-absorbing materials, and let's change the tail design. And now you have a stealthy F-15. Now, why it failed is the jet reduced radar visibility, obviously, had so many stealth characteristics, but it was not a true 5th-generation fighter. The original F-15 shape, engines, and air intake still produced a large radar signature compared to an aircraft like an F-35 or F-22. Countries decided eventually that it was better to just invest in smaller numbers of the F-35 instead of something like the F-15 SE. South Korea rejecting the F-15 SE in favor of the F-35 was the end of the project. And like I said already, Saudi Arabia and Japan had already previously objected the project to seek the F-35 or other aircraft. Now, I will note, in Warthunder, the F-15 SE, it's literally the perfect aircraft to come to test stealth and fighter aircraft. Like, I don't know, why people don't talk about this aircraft more, because Gaijin's the biggest thing people complain about is individual radar cross-section on an aircraft. Gaijin does not seem to have that modeled. You do not have the same radar cross-section of an F-16 compared to an F-15. That's just not how that works. However, if Gaijin were to model individual RCS like they should, especially right before we get stealth aircraft, hey, guess what? Let's give the F-15 SE to the game. Let's add it to the game. Event vehicle, squadron vehicle, top-tier fighter, premium for all I care. Literally all it is an F-15E that'd be slightly harder to see on radar. That's literally all the plane is. Now, yeah, it'd have the, APG-82 ASA. This would be a plane that you'd put at like 15 plateau, and you'd really have this bridge the gap between 4th gen, 4.5 gen, and 5th gen. And obviously, right now in game we have 2 stealth aircraft. We have the Comanche and we have the Nighthawk. And those are both for the US. Now, you guys have to understand at some point, you know, the majority of the stealth aircraft we're going to see are going to be to the US before we see 5th gen. Because the US has, I think it's like 5 separate aircraft that are, you know, stealth aircraft that aren't 5th generation fighters. The F-15SE is one of them. Now, I'm not going to say that the Silent Eagle is a perfect stealth platform. I'm not going to lie like that. I'm not going to be saying this thing is, you know, crazy stealthy, and it's just, the reason it failed is no one wanted it, and that's just not true. It was expensive. It was cheaper than the F-35, but it didn't offer anything over the F-35. Now, I will note, I'm kind of surprised the United States didn't seek the F-15SE, simply because even if it just, you know, slowly, or not slowly, but very tinily changed the RCS, even if it was a tiny bit, which it wasn't actually a significant enough amount that, you know, the program was successful in that regard. Compared to an F-35, obviously it's not very much. But I would imagine this would have been a plane we could have bought, you know, 100 of, or 80 of them, and used them as Air National Guard aircraft, or used them as aircraft for, you know, interceptors in Alaska, for NORAD. Now, even though the Silent Eagle program failed, the technologies and cockpit found its way and influenced the F-15EX. So, the designs in the F-15SC were not lost. It wasn't a failed program like that. We learned things from it, and we added those things to the F-15EX. And the F-15EX is often regarded as one of the most advanced 4.5 generation fighters out there. Most advanced F-15 ever made. It's a beautiful plane. The F-15 Silent Eagle shares a big chapter in that, and it's such a nice thing to see. Now, I would imagine if Gaijin were to add this aircraft, they'd give it a couple options. One, reduced RCS if you carry the internal missiles. I believe you could carry 4 AIM-120s. I'd have to double check. I think this is still actually classified. And I'm hesitant to use my sources just because they're export restricted, and Gaijin does not like export restricted stuff, and I don't want to get in trouble. Even though this is on YouTube, I'm still a partner with Gaijin, and rather not share stuff that they just blatantly can't use. And that's a whole nother story for a different video. But the F-15SE, it's a crazy cool strike platform, or not strike, air-to-air superiority platform, based on the F-15E. It had beautiful avionics, an advanced radar, stealth capabilities, obviously not a 5th generation fighter, but still had some stealth capabilities. And it was pretty cool. How many people do you know that can say, "Oh yeah, I flew a Stealth Eagle"? You really can't. I mean, God, the pilots for that had to have been insane bragging rights after getting to fly a Silent Eagle. Anyways, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. The F-15SE, like I said, would make a lot of sense to come to the game to just test how stealth works on a fighter base. Obviously, don't make it broken. It doesn't have a counterpart, really. Maybe the Su-47 with its air-quote stealth capabilities, or that's just so much more limited than what the F-15SE was. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys are not already subscribed, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Make sure to join the Discord link down below in the description. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.